The apartment was unusually quiet that evening. YN sat at the dining couch, scrolling through schedules on her tablet, while her assistant Mingyu spoke rapidly through the phone. Yes, move the Milan fitting to Thursday. No, cancel the morning interview, and tell them I can't do the skincare launch next week. Jungkook looked up from his camera lens. You rejected it? YN nodded casually. I'm already overbooked. Mingyu continued listing schedules, while checking emails linked to both YN and the agency accounts. Her life had become non-stop meetings, fittings, flights, and contracts. After ending the call, she rubbed her forehead tiredly. Jungkook stayed silent for a moment before speaking carefully. That deal, can't you give it to Naeun? YN blinked. What? You said you rejected it anyway. He said. She immediately understood where this conversation was going. Jungkook, she's struggling right now, he interrupted softly. You know that. YN sighed quietly. It doesn't work like that. But you have connections now. It's not about connections. Her tone stayed calm. That brand specifically asked for taller models with sharper features for the campaign. Naeun already auditioned for them before. They rejected her themselves. She was simply telling the truth. Cruel truth, but still truth. The fashion industry wasn't school where opportunities could be equally distributed out of fairness. Some brands wanted certain looks, certain heights, certain marketability, and YN knew forcing recommendations too aggressively could actually damage Naeun's reputation further. But Jungkook didn't see it that way anymore, because all he heard was refusal. You could still try, he said quietly. I already have before. The words almost slipped out fully, but she stopped herself. She didn't want to sound like she was keeping score. Jungkook noticed her hesitation and misunderstood it completely. So you just don't want to? Y/N stared at him in disbelief. What? You and I both know one word from you matters now. Her chest tightened slightly. For years, she had silently opened doors for both him and Naeun without expecting gratitude. And now, she was being looked at like someone selfishly hoarding success. That's not fair, she said finally. Jungkook leaned back, frustrated. What's unfair is watching our friend fall apart while people around her keep rising. YN's expression slowly changed. Not angry yet, just hurt, because he truly believed she was abandoning Naeun. Meanwhile, Jungkook kept thinking about Naeun's dim apartment, her hopeless smile, her saying, can't friends help each other climb? And without realizing it, he had started placing responsibility for Naeun's unhappiness onto YN, even though YN had been carrying that responsibility alone for years already. One night, YN sat on her bed, after done her schedule with YSL brand. Jungkook was doing editing on his laptop on bed. He looked at her. She having talk with one brand. Miu Miu, who wanted Korean model. She rejected it. She had scheduled next week. She keep her phone down scrolling. When suddenly Jungkook asked, that brand you're rejecting it, can I suggest no name? She will get help. He said, hoping YN will suggest same. She looks at him saying, try it, she said. Later that night, he called that brand staff requested executive for talk. YN agree his helping for Naeun. Part of her thought, maybe hearing rejection directly from brands, would help him understand things she had been trying to explain for months. Jungkook personally contacted the director through one of his photography connections. At first, he sounded hopeful. She has experience, good visuals too, she just needs one big opportunity. But the answer came back politely cold. Miu Miu casts public figures with strong market value. We need someone globally recognizable. Jungkook sat silently after the call ended. For the first time, he realized YN hadn't been lying. These companies weren't choosing based on friendship or kindness. They were choosing money, influence, visibility. Still, he couldn't fully give up on Naeun. Later that night, while YN showered, after another exhausting fitting, Jungkook glanced through her open schedule pad and synced emails displayed on the tablet. Luxury runway invitations, brand fittings, magazine shoots, some accepted, some rejected due to conflicts. And suddenly a thought came to him. If YN couldn't personally hand success to Naeun, maybe he could at least redirect smaller opportunities toward her. So quietly, without making it a big issue, Jungkook started contacting agencies himself whenever YN declined certain schedules. Would you consider another model instead? I know someone suitable. She's hardworking and available immediately. Sometimes the agencies ignored him. Sometimes they accepted trial auditions. And slowly, Naeun began receiving more runway opportunities again. Not luxury campaigns like YN, but enough to stay visible, enough to survive. Naeun became emotional when she found out Jungkook had personally been helping her. You really did all this for me? He smiled lightly. You're our friend, our friend. But over time, that line quietly started blurring. Whenever interviewers asked Naeun how she managed such a comeback, she always smiled and answered, "Honestly, Jungkook believed in me when I stopped believing in myself." At first, YN found it sweet, but slowly, little things started unsettling her. Noon mentioning Jungkook constantly, Jungkook immediately answering Noon's calls, even during dates. The secretive schedule discussions, stopping whenever YN entered rooms. Still, she trusted both of them. Too much. Meanwhile, Jungkook genuinely believed he was doing the right thing. To him, he wasn't betraying Woksun. He thought he was correcting unfairness, helping someone who had been left behind. What he failed to notice was that somewhere along the way, he had crossed invisible boundaries. He wasn't just supporting Naeun anymore. He was quietly building her career, using pieces of YN's life without her knowledge. One night after returning from Paris exhausted, YN finally confronted him. "Do you even see me anymore?" Jungkook looked up from editing photos. "What does that mean?" "I'm tired too." Her voice cracked slightly for the first time in months. But every conversation is about Naeun now. Her stress, her sadness, her career. He sighed immediately, already defensive. "She went through hard years, YN. And what about me?" He went quiet. YN laughed bitterly. "You kept telling me she'll receive big opportunities one day. But you never once asked if I was okay carrying everything alone." Jungkook avoided her eyes. That silence answered enough. A few days later, while preparing schedules in her office, Mingyu hesitated nervously beside her desk. "Miss YN, can I say something honestly?" She looked up tiredly. "What happened?" Mingyu lowered his voice. "I think you should keep an eye on Jungkook." YN frowned immediately. "What?" "The agency directors are already angry." Her chest tightened slightly. Mingyu continued carefully. "Last month, the Chanel beauty deal came specifically for you. After you postponed it, Jungkook privately suggested Naeun's name to the director, while our agency executive was present." YN stared at him silently. At first, she genuinely didn't understand. Then slowly pieces started connecting. Rejected schedules, repeated overlaps, Naeun receiving strangely perfect opportunities. Jungkook always knowing which brands she declined. Mingyu looked uncomfortable saying it. "He's been redirecting your deals to Naeun for a long time." The room suddenly felt cold. Wet whispered quietly, "No, Jungkook wouldn't do that without telling me." Oh Mingyu didn't answer immediately. That silence hurt more than words. He accesses synced schedules before agency confirmations, he admitted softly. Directors noticed the pattern months ago. YN's fingers slowly tightened around the tablet in her hands. Not because of lost deals, not even because Naeun became successful, but because the two people she trusted most had apparently built an entire system behind her back while she stood there happily cheering for them. After meeting with director Yin sat in car leaving for apartment, staring at road blankly. For years, she thought Jungkook was simply helping a struggling friend. She never imagined he was quietly dismantling boundaries around her career piece by piece, while she trusted him enough to leave every door open. YN cried alone in her car after leaving the agency building. Not dramatic sobbing, just silent tears falling one after another, while her hands shook on the steering wheel. Because suddenly she understood the real damage. Those brands probably would never approach her again. Not all of them, she was still famous enough to survive professionally. But trust once broken in luxury industries spreads quietly. And the worst part, it wasn't a stranger who did it. It was Jungkook. She replayed so many moments differently now. "Can I borrow your tablet? I need to check something quickly. Your email notification popped up accidentally. Can I see your schedule? Maybe we can plan a trip." Things she never questioned, because she loved him. That night she called him immediately. He answered casually from the airport. "I'm boarding soon." "Where?" "Paris. Naeun has a fashion show." A pause, then he added naturally, "I'm shooting for her this week." For Naeun, not YN, he had once traveled everywhere beside YN, with his camera hanging around his neck, proudly calling her his muse. Now, he was Naeun's official photographer. YN's chest tightened painfully, not because of jealousy, because she suddenly felt replaced inside her own life. After he returned from Paris, YN still didn't confront him immediately. She was too confused. Part of her desperately hoped the agency exaggerated everything. So one morning, she went to Jungkook's apartment while he showered after work. The place felt familiar, comfortable, still carrying pieces of their years together. His laptop sat open on the desk. YN normally would never invade his privacy, but her hands moved almost automatically this time. Then she opened the folders, and her entire body went cold. Detailed files, organized carefully by dates and brands. YN rejected, possible for Naeun, schedule conflict, redirect. Contact stylist directly, Naeun fitting opportunity. Use YN makeup artist availability. She stared at the screen in disbelief. There were screenshots of her schedules, notes about which creative directors preferred her image, lists of stylists, makeup artists, photographers connected to her campaigns, even old luxury offers. The L'Oréal Paris file was still there from years ago. But what shattered her completely was realizing something worse. Not every opportunity had originally gone to YN. Sometimes, Jungkook approached companies early, using his growing connections, and positioned Naeun before brands even contacted YN's agency. meaning some opportunities never reached YN at all. He had quietly redirected industry flow itself. For over a year, Wen slowly sat down beside the desk, staring blankly at the folders. Her breathing became uneven. This wasn't simple helping anymore. This was strategic, calculated, systematic. And suddenly every success Nayeon achieved started looking different in YN's eyes. Not fake, because Nayeon still worked hard and had talent, but built partially through information taken from YN's own career ecosystem, without consent. Then she heard the shower stop. YN quickly closed the laptop, but her hands were trembling badly now, because the person she trusted most hadn't just hidden things from her. He had studied her career like a blueprint and used it to build someone else beside her. Jungkook froze the moment he stepped out of the shower and saw Yin sitting near his desk. His eyes immediately shifted to the laptop, then back to her face. For the first time in years, he looked genuinely panicked around her. Yin, she stood up slowly. You're back. That calmness scared him more than shouting would have. He nodded carefully, trying to read her expression. Why are you here? I came to see you. Her voice sounded normal. Too normal. Jungkook's chest tightened as he noticed the laptop screen slightly tilted wrong, folders still half open behind the dimmed display. He understood instantly. She saw it. For a second, he almost started explaining everything immediately, but In simply picked up her bag quietly. No screaming, no accusations, no crying in front of him. And somehow that made the apartment feel colder. The silence stretched painfully before Jungkook forced himself to speak casually. Paris went well. Nayeon's show was successful. Ian nodded once. I saw. He relaxed slightly, seeing no confrontation. Then, like always lately, he started talking about Nayeon naturally. She's finally happy these days. I think success gave her confidence again. In listened silently. A strange ache spread through her chest. Because even now, he didn't notice her expression. Didn't ask if she was okay. Didn't sense something had shattered. Then In suddenly asked quietly, she's still struggling emotionally, right? Jungkook blinked. What? You keep saying she's lonely and insecure. In looked at him calmly. Can't she talk to someone professional now? She's successful. She can afford help. The question shocked him, because for the first time, In sounded emotionally detached from Nayeon's suffering, instead of protective. I'll try talking to her, he said carefully. One only nodded again. Then she left. And after that night, something invisible changed between them. Not dramatic enough for outsiders to notice, but enough. Win stopped sharing schedules casually, stopped leaving devices unlocked around him, stopped discussing contracts openly. Her passwords changed. Agency systems became private. She remained completely professional outwardly, still polite, still composed, still attending fashion events, beside Nayeon smiling for cameras. Because she knew exactly how the industry would react otherwise. If she exposed everything now, people would say, she's jealous Nayeon became successful. She can't handle competition. Top models always become insecure when replaced. So Win buried the truth quietly inside herself. Meanwhile, Nayeon's fame kept soaring. Magazine covers, luxury ambassadorships, international praise. She's flying these days, people said, and Win kept working too. Still respected, still successful, but colder now, more isolated. Then one afternoon, months later, Jungkook absent-mindedly picked up her tablet while waiting in her apartment. He entered the old password automatically. Access denied. He frowned and tried again. Still denied. For some reason, that tiny moment unsettled him deeply. Not because he needed her schedules anymore. By now, Nayeon had enough power and connections herself. But because the realization hit him suddenly, YN changed everything without saying a word. And that meant, she knew.